Alright, back again. So what I did is obviously measured these down and then cut them out, got the correct angles parallel with this to that hole there, both sides, and I tacked it up there. I tried to get the exact same height from the ground to these bolt holes either side. This one was level, and then I took the height of that, and then I tried to go over the other side and do the same thing. So I threw a tack in, but it kept being too high by about 6 or 7 millimeters, no matter what I could do. So I had a thought that maybe this had been sort of racked in some way, as in like bent, because I mean everywhere I checked, this was square, this was square, the I checked square to the frame. So a couple of hours staring at it, measuring, double checking everything else that I've made, checking lengths. I mean, the length to the hole is exact to the millimeter on both sides, so the hole height is right. But if you can imagine 2 points in space, they're the right length, but they're like weren't the right height, so something had lifted it. I've checked the heights there where they join the frame, and they're both exactly the same. So from there to here, the frame is bent, and obviously you can see this, it's just, there's nothing to it, there's no integrity, so I didn't think it was going to be exact anyway. So what I've done is I had a hunch that these frame rails were not square to the vehicle, to the rest of the vehicle. So, I mean, I set my level up, I check levels, you know, they're all within a millimeter of each other. It's a 2 millimeter level, so there's that much tolerance, because obviously there has to be some sort of light that you can see, so that's a 2 millimeter wide light. So within 2 millimeter tolerance is pretty good. So I checked the heights from the ground at the back of the bolts. They were the same. I checked them square to the frame, so they weren't, it hadn't racked in some way. Everything's fine. So what I did is I had these 2 lengths of RHS left, and I squared them off to the edge of the frame at the exact same distance, just off this. So it turns out it was 28 centimeters to there, to the outside of there, and I did it the same, and I tack welded them in place, and then I checked it again. I did that on both sides. So theoretically what I should have is 2 rails that run parallel to the edge of the frame, and a square, all things being equal. So when I did that, I came back and measured the distance from this rail that I'd tacked in place to here, and it's not the same either side. So what we've got is around 5 mils. So let's call it 4.5 mils. And then if we go to the other side, I'll do it at a particular point. So I'll go directly in the center mark of that hole, that top hole. So we go, where are we? So we've got 4.5 mils, 5 mils, 4 to 5 mils. Then if we go, sorry, just double check that. So yes. So then we go to the centre mark of this top one, which is roughly there. And then we look down here, we've got 1.3 mils. So we're 9 mils, we're nearly a whole centimetre racked that way. And so what I'm going to have to do now, and it seems that it's further out here, so obviously, yeah, see now I'm going to have to check the square inside this frame, because I don't want to start beating on it thinking that it's racked and then realise that maybe one of these is slightly longer than the other. But also the height, if you look at the height where this hits, so I'll just grab my little, you can see that's almost there, so just about underneath the bottom of the top hole by a couple of mils. And we'll go over to this side. And look at that. So it's, I'd say, 1.5 millimeters. So that makes it 3.5 mils lower on that side. So it's 3.5 mils lower on that side. See, that's strange, it was different before. So I'm glad I've got these rails in now, because now what I'm going to do is probably stick a pipe under here right through, and then undo these tacks, and then I'm really going to just make sure I'm exact, because it's my biggest fear with this sort of stuff is to make sure that everything is square. So I'll put that through. So we got that there now. Where are we? How much is it? It's basically touching it. So look how much of a gap there is there. So once again, it seems like, yeah, it seems like this side is higher and further out. So first of all, what I would do is, to get my level right, is probably just grind those tacks off and let this drop, and it should hit that and be the same as the other side. And then I'll come back and measure heights again, because I don't want to get this wrong, so it's just one of those things that I've got to do. Takes a while too. You don't want to just rush in and get it wrong. So I'll just check for, essentially this should be level, because the whole frame is level. It's not too bad, it's pretty close. So I'm happy with that, and I'll just check this other frame just to make sure that hasn't been bowed somehow. Because if that's bowed, and then everything's going to be out, so I'll make sure that's right. Yeah, so that's dead nuts. So I know that's square. I know the frame is at the correct heights with the laser level. I know the frame is square. It's a square. The problem I've got is the alignment of these frame rails. So I wonder if I could cinch this in and then weld it up. No, see, I'm going to have to... Anyway, I'll think about it a bit longer. There's a lot going on, so anyway, I'll bring you back.